Welcome to the video. It is officially fall, and that means that it is also officially spooky season. And I could not think of a better video to put out for this month than to take you along with me on these anatomy studies that I have been doing. This is the book that I have been using and I have been loving, and I posted a short about it recently, kind of talking a little bit about it. I've looked through a lot of anatomy books, particularly for artists. And, this has been, so far, been, I think, definitely one of my favorites. This is by Valerie L. Winslow. And again, this book is absolutely amazing. It took her 4 years to write this, and it would have taken me so much longer. She drew every picture in this book, and they are so helpful and so amazing. I had just started this book, so I'm not very far along. The only thing that I've really done besides what I'm working on right now is I started with the skull, and that was fairly easier than the spine, very, very much so. And maybe that's because I've drawn more skulls than actual skeletons. I don't know why it was easier. Maybe it's just because it's obviously somewhat less complicated, really, but it was still absolutely fascinating. I'll have to maybe go over and reread some of my notes, I don't know, maybe in another video, because again, I find the body so fascinating. I'm a little squeamish, like the body makes me a little queasy, I should say, but I want to get over that a little bit. I want to really understand my body. I really want to understand it for artistic purposes. I'm very happy, and I'm very humbled by, again, just learning about the body. If you are ever in denial of there being a higher power of any sort, learn about the body, because it is the most amazing thing. The way that it is structured, the way that it functions and runs, all the systems and all the microorganisms, and it's just, anyways, it's very interesting to me. So if you are an artist that would like to improve their anatomy or their ability to draw the human body in any way, I highly recommend you check this out. It is a challenge that is definitely worthwhile. Now, the way I like to approach any artistic study really is definitely drawing multiple times if possible, and I really like to experiment with as many different things as I can in those drawings, whether it's with the materials that I use, the angles that I'm using, just anything that I can think of that will help me understand my subject and deeper length, right? Basically is the goal. And then I also I am an avid note taker. It really helps me to retain useful information by taking notes, but I try to really skim. I try to really make sure that I am just taking notes, especially when it comes to anatomy, because it is so detailed, unbelievably detailed. I try to really just make sure I take the notes that I would really like to keep in mind, that I would really like to remember going forward on this journey after I've finished working with this book. So today I'm working on the spine, which is in this diagram right here. I'll put a close-up, a little bit of a better image of it on the screen. And again, this was extremely challenging. I found myself going back, erasing over and over again, restarting, because unlike a lot of other subjects that I have worked on, you can't really wing it with anatomy. You have to have the bones line up correctly, yada, yada, yada. So if you are going to do this, I highly suggest that, unlike me, you go the smart way with it. Make a really good rough draft of the spine. Put these curve lines in there so that you really understand that it has to curve. That was kind of tricky, really. And number the vertebrae, because I didn't number the vertebrae and it threw me off, because only a certain number of vertebrae look like this, and then a certain number of vertebrae look like that. And it's just, I had to keep going back and recounting to figure out where I was. And it just, those are some of my suggestions. And I think this is a really great practice, I gotta say, if you are anything like me and you have had less time to paint, right? I think when we take, as artists, like you take a break from painting and you're worried about it, right? You're like, I'm gonna be rusty. I'm not gonna be able to paint like I was painting, yada, yada, yada. Sorry, I'm probably saying that a good amount. Anyways, learning to draw, taking the time to practice drawing, I have heard that it really does apply to painting. You will go back to painting and you'll be even better. You will slowly, you'll see that it really did make some improvements, because painting really is so much like drawing. And again, going back to the basics, relearning, how to be better with drawing your subjects. It's just such an invaluable way to improve your art skills. And I am a believer of, I am a believer of that idea now, because again, I haven't been able to paint nearly as much as I wish. And I have been very surprised by how painting has gone when I have gone back to it. I can see myself getting better. A couple months ago over the summer, I went back and I did one oil painting through the summer, and I didn't even finish it. But I was painting this figure's nose, and I was just like so blown away with how much better this nose looked. I was able to get the structure so much betterly conveyed. Again, and I know that it had to do with all the practice I had been doing over the summer, with drawing faces and really studying my references and just all of that stuff. And so I am converted, and I really want to make sure that I am not neglecting my drawing skills. Yeah. So I decided to include a piece, a kind of spooky inspired painting, just to kind of spice the video up. After recording the anatomy study, I just felt like it was kind of dry. And I just, I don't really need an excuse, I guess, just to do something fun. And so I had this watercolor canvas paper or sheet. Sorry, it's a canvas sheet that I had pre-blobinated with watercolor. It was kind of an accident. I made a mistake and decided to just throw a bunch of different colors on this canvas paper. And I talked about it in another video where I was like, oh, well, I'll just challenge myself to do something with this. And what I really wanted to do was a negative space painting. And I thought this would just be the perfect opportunity to do that. And I decided to do this skeleton piece with some flowers coming out of the skeleton just to kind of mix it up. I felt like it had really good like Duela de Muerta vibes. So yeah, I really loved that idea. I tried this masking fluid pen I had bought on there just to see if I could use it, and it ended up not working out. It made the watercolor run. I wonder if maybe if I would have used like a fixative spray, maybe it wouldn't have done that. But I just decided to kind of forego that and, move on. And so I did this painting with inks, with an ink that I got from this brand Hopus. I got it off of Amazon. It's just a non-expensive water-based ink. I am new to ink. I haven't used many inks in my practice before, and I thought it would just be fun, kind of an ode to the whole Inktober, to mess around with it and use that. A part of me was wondering if I would use just like black watercolor over the top, which I have done in the past, but I wanted to see how it would go using ink instead. And it was a very different experience. It was a a learning experience, because I thought that once I laid the ink down, it was going to be kind of more like acrylic ink, I guess. I thought it would kind of stay put. It wouldn't move around very much, but I found that it reacted a lot like watercolor would. I could move it around once I had laid it down, and that kind of had its own benefits. It was a little tricky to figure out, but it all worked out. It's funny because this painting, as I was painting it, I really wasn't sure if it was going to turn out. I wasn't sure if the composition was going to turn out. It's just a skeleton with one arm. I considered putting the other arm on there, but I didn't know if it was really going to show through very well because of the dark green splotch on the other side. And I just decided to stick with the one arm. And yeah, I don't know, it's weird, but for some reason, sometimes with paintings, it feels like the whole time you're working on it, you're just a little unsure if it's actually going to turn out. And it was up until the very last little bit that I really wasn't sure if it was, going to turn out. I was putting the details on with this pen. I'll put the brand name of the pen that I used on this. And I really like the kind of almost scratchy effect that it gave the painting. But it was really hard on my pen. Like, I kind of thought that my pen was going to give out. It wasn't going to keep working. I had to keep going over some parts of it. But I ended up really loving the end after I let it sit on my mind. Once it was done, I ended up really loving it. It became my favorite piece that I made this month of October. So yeah, I guess that's a good, it's a good lesson to myself and to you. Okay. Right. Like, even if you're not sure if a painting is working out, it's kind of going through an ugly stage, just keep going. You never know what's going to happen. It might end up being a piece you really love. I think a part of it, why I love it, is also just because it is a skeleton. I am slightly obsessed with skeletons. I don't know what it is. They make me smile. There's something about them that's funky and fun, but also at the same time, sacred and beautiful. And yeah, I collect a lot of different things that have skeletons or skulls, and I just really loved this piece. Yeah, I really loved the flowers coming out of it, the whole like life and death in one piece. I don't know. Yeah. So I was really happy with that and how it turned out. It was very hard though. I don't know, doing negative painting, negative space. I don't know, very different than doing traditional painting. But I think it was really good for my brain. I had to, think about this painting in a whole different way. But yeah, I don't know. I hope that it registers. I haven't. But yeah, I really wish that I would have gotten to do some more Halloween themed stuff this year for my platforms. It's just been really hard to fit in, a themed video along with everything else I've been doing. I'm really glad that I was able to figure something out, though. I was really glad that I was like, hey, I've been drawing some kind of creepy stuff, learning about the body. Why not, share it with others? I think it worked out. And again, this was just really fun. It was an unexpected little art project that I just kind of squeezed in here, like I said, to kind of spice this video up a little bit. So yeah, one thing I really want to draw or paint is bats. I love bats. I think they are just so adorable. They're such great community members, like how they will save food so that if someone in their, little bat community doesn't get enough food that night, they will regurgitate their food and feed it to them. That's just such a sweet mentality. I don't know. So yeah, I'd really love to do something like that. Maybe I'll get a chance to do a little something like that for, like Duela de Muerta, which I really love Duela de Muerta. I love the Hispanic tradition for that. I think it's so much better than a lot of the other traditions that we've got here for Halloween. Something about, honoring your ancestors and using it as a time to reconnect with them. I just think that that's great. I hope that you're getting a chance to enjoy this season. I know so many people really just love fall. It's just so beautiful, the colors and the changing leaves. It gets really beautiful over here by the Wasatch Front. The colors can just be so spectacular on these massive mountains. I feel so blessed to get to look at them. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I've been thinking a lot about my past, a lot about my childhood growing up. I had a really great childhood. Even though, of course, just like anyone, there were hard things. I had so much fun. I have a lot of really great memories. And I just find myself really having a bad case of nostalgia lately. I don't know, I grew up in the 90s, and I just keep thinking about how fun Halloween was, how fun Christmas was, how fun Valentine's Day was, all these holidays. And it's unfortunate because it just doesn't really feel the same. And I'm sure a big part of that is that I am an adult now. But I think that it's also, this changing world that we live in now. It's so different. I remember being a kid, and they used to still paint things on the windows at the grocery store, and they would have Halloween scenes, they'd move on and they'd do Christmas scenes, and they'd do the Valentine scenes, and there was just so much more decorations, so much more whimsy, it kind of felt like, and I just miss it so much. I don't know how to explain it, but it makes me think a lot about my children, obviously, and the memories that they have and the memories that we're making. I've been feeling really conflicted about some of these holidays. I don't really like to celebrate these traditional holidays anymore, now that I've learned more about where these traditions came from. I just don't agree with a lot of these pagan traditions. I don't think that they're right for me and my family anymore. And so I've been really trying to, rethink what I'm celebrating, what I'm honoring in my life with these celebrations. I want to find, ways to connect with these traditions and have them mean something to me and my family. This is, we're not very connected to our families. Me and my husband, we're kind of the start of our family. And so I feel like in a lot of ways we get to start over, and we get to make new traditions and new memories. And again, just trying to spend more time being intentional about what I'm celebrating, I guess. But I think that with the changing leaves and the changing of the seasons, it's just such a great reminder of how fleeting life is, how, there's always a changing season in your life. And I like to have that be a reminder, when I, get to this time of year, And I don't know. I've been turning inward more, right? Been looking to my house and to what I'm doing in my house. And I've been practicing, cooking more and baking my own bread. Just, trying to get ready, I think, just for things to slow down, for, things to be more at home. My kids are really excited about Halloween. My son is going to be a plague doctor, which is very weird, very interesting, very creepy. I was telling him, don't you dare jump out and scare me in this Halloween costume, because if it's dark and he catches me at the right moment, it's going to scare the crap out of me. And my daughter she wants to be a witch, and we got her witch costume already, and she's been really loving it, playing around wearing it all this month, and she's just so cute in her little witch costume. Another tradition that I really love is we really like to watch Sleepy Hollow. I think that's what it is, Sleepy Hollow, with Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci or whatever. I don't know, something about that movie is just so, I don't know, exquisitely made Halloween movie. You know what I mean? If you have any favorite Halloween traditions, I would love for you to comment and let me know. I'm always on the lookout for other ways to add some, new traditions to this holiday. Something else that I've been doing, just again for Halloween vibes around here, is I've been watching the old Bewitched show, whatever. I've never seen it before, like maybe here and there, but it is such a clever show. The writing is so good. I'm only halfway through the first season, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Samantha, Elizabeth Montgomery, she is so beautiful. I cannot get over it. And her mom, and Dora, is so clever. They wrote her character just so clever. You would really think like she was this witch that had lived for hundreds of years with how they wrote her character. But yeah, I've been really enjoying that. It's so fun to see all the old sets and all the old outfits and the eye makeup and all that stuff from the 60s. It's so cool. Anyways, I also got a new setup for my camera, that's got a light, and it's like attached to this anchored arm. And yeah, I really hope that it improves. It shows some improvement in my videos, and I really hope that they're nicer for, those who want to watch them, right? I'm really glad that I was able to get some updates. It really needed to happen. So again, with this footage where I'm drawing the backbone, I'm sorry if the footage isn't as great as the footage later on. You work with what you've got, right? So I know this video is coming out way later than I planned. I actually had most of this video finished up right before Halloween, which is when I was planning on releasing it. But as the end of October came around and the beginning of November came, I found myself very sick, and I have just been struggling to stay on top of my normal daily life. And a lot of things with my art business have kind of fallen on the back burner, unfortunately. And I'm hoping that by the time December is rolling around, that hopefully I'll be kind of back in the seat, back doing what I love to do, back sharing, all the content that I had planned originally. So again, if you're watching this and you're like, oh yeah, it's November, it's the end of November. Again, sorry, your health is important, right? If your health deteriorates, you can't keep up. And so I've just been trying to prioritize, getting better, healing, taking care of myself and my family. And I don't think anyone's really gonna care, right? It's like I brought up in one of my last videos, that's kind of the benefit of having a channel that is still growing, it's still small. I don't have a lot of people that are waiting on my content, and so I think that worked out. But anyways, I really hope that you're having a good fall. I hope that as winter's coming around, you're hanging in there. I know the holidays are kind of hard on people. I think a lot of people think, there's a lot of advertisement that's like the holidays are cheerful, and they can be, right? It's a great time to spend with family. But I know a lot of people are hurting. The world is just in such a dark place right now. And I hope that, my video was able to give you a little reprieve from any hardness that you've got going on right now. And again, I know I keep bringing it up, but it's a big thing in my life, right? Just stay creative. Don't let your passion go, because there's a lot of bad stuff going on, right? You got to just keep it alive. And that's what I've been telling myself as I've been too sick to, paint much, draw much, do a lot of the things that I love to do. I just keep telling myself that, we all have different seasons in our life, and I'll get back to it. And yeah. Anyways, again, sorry this video is getting out late. I've got a lot of great stuff that's going to be coming out, and I can't wait to get back to sharing with all of you. I hope that you're doing good, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you.